Good morning. My name is Courtney Gregoire, and I have the pleasure of serving as Assistant General Counsel for Microsoft's Digital Crimes Unit. So, as was previously mentioned, I get to jump in pretty deep today to talk about what we're doing to combat some of this imposter fraud and to hopefully give you some tips and tricks about how to avoid scams online. Really, at the core, we are at Microsoft working across the entire industry. As I drove across the beautiful paths yesterday, I had a conversation with Dell about one case we're bringing, another conversation with HP about another case we're bringing, and I was sharing some information about some sites that I thought Facebook should be taking down. This is because this fraud is so profitable. The scale and scope that has expanded in the last 4 years is really unimaginable. But at the end of the day, they may come at you different ways. They may call you. You may see a web advertisement. But regardless of the method, what they're really trying to do is two things: separate you from your money and gain access to that computer. And let me just focus on that gaining access to that computer for 1 second. I don't think if a stranger called you on the phone or even sent a message on your computer and asked for a spare key to your house, you'd hand it to them. You know to keep that back door locked. You don't give remote access to your computer. That gives them really access to all the personal information that's on there, just as giving a spare key to your home would. We at the Microsoft Digital Crimes Unit have been working really hard to investigate and go after the perpetrators of this fraud. And so you're seeing a series of headlines that really have been happening in the last year. As Doug mentioned, we supported about 16 raids in call centers in India, and have worked and collaborated with the Federal Trade Commission and state attorney generals. The starting point for us is the information you provide. Microsoft has a Report a Scam website, and we receive about 10,000 customer reports every single month. We actually have the best data about this scam. We love partnering with others, but we know when we're getting about over 120,000 complaints a year, we've got the data to think really smart and intelligently about how we go after these fraudsters. So I have a great team that is, I'll be honest, because you're going to ask me for some tech help later, I know, because I have Microsoft on my business card. But don't forget that I'm the lawyer and have really smart people helping me as we think about how to fight this fraud. What we do is with those reports, we use really smart data analysis to say, let's see the pattern of how these folks are behaving, and I mean the cyber criminals. Let's see what we can match up so we can identify the boiler room in Florida that's tied to the money mules in Latin America, that's tied to the call center operation in India. And because of our digital crimes unit that has 70 folks around the globe in 14 countries, we bring simultaneous actions in all of those markets. That's what we think is needed to fight this global crime, and it's because of the data points that you can give us. Before I go into those possible risks, I want to share one other element, and that is, of course, we take that information about how these criminals are operating and we build it right back into our products. So you'll see that a little bit as I give you these tips and tricks. But when this scam really started accelerating 4 years ago, it was primarily a cold call scam. They would call you, they'd encourage you to give access to their computer. They realized they could get a lot more scale by using web advertising and moving to pop-ups. They leveraged that and literally have a 4-fold return where they only got 1 out of 10 before they have a much better chance of getting 3 to 4 out of 10 to click through on that pop-up to make that phone call. And that's why you're seeing that migration. We look at that migration and say, how do we better protect our customers with our products? One way is to make sure that if you're visiting a website that has previously served a pop-up, we look at that and we will serve you a notice. We don't recommend you go to this URL. They may send something that we don't recommend you look at. And that is our way of putting in the front end what we learn after we go after these bad guys. So we'll talk a little bit about cold calls. You've heard a lot about this today. These fraudulent callers, they're really imposters. They are claiming to be tech support or medical professionals, and they're really seeking any information you can give them. And what I really will say to you is what changed fundamentally in the last 10 years is the ability of these criminal networks to share information behind the scenes. So if you get a phone call today and says, "Hi, I'm calling about your Microsoft computer," and you respond, "Wait, I have a Mac," or "Wait, I have a Dell," I promise you that nice little note goes next to your phone number and is traded so that that next phone call just sounds a little bit more realistic and they know something a little bit more about you. That is the network that we want to disrupt, but it is why we say in that phone call, don't give any personal information. Even your home city, what kind of technology you're using, especially your credit card information, your social security number. Now, this is really simple. Microsoft does not call you to tell you you have a problem on your computer. If you have a problem on your computer, we encourage you to visit Microsoft support. All of that information is right here. If you had reached out to us and asked for support, then you might get a phone call back. There we would know your name, we would give you a ticket number, but you know you initiated that conversation. So you get a call out of the blue, that isn't us. Here are some good red flags in general from any cold call you'd receive. They don't know your name. They're using a vague description, and I'll be honest with you, those vague descriptions can usually sound really good. I mean, I am a casual technology user. So if they call and say, "You've used your computer in the last day," that's true. But that information is not available to someone who's calling you out of the blue. They may avoid answering questions, right? We have trained them by suing them and ensuring that there is law enforcement action against them. They may represent themselves as Windows. They may say they're associated with Microsoft, but if you probe there, so you work for the Microsoft company, they know that adds some liability to them if we can track them down. So they'll be a little bit more vague. You work for Facebook, you work for Google. The bad phone connection is a good red flag. Asking you to install software on your computer or asking you to call another number. And this is, you heard a little bit about this with Doug Shadell's presentation. They do handoffs. And if they are handing you off, maybe you've called one point, they're asking you to call a different number for support. That is typically a mechanism by which they're hiding their identity for us, but it also is a good red flag for you. So the number one thing, how you know it's the real thing, you solicited the call. You reached out, you asked for help. Attorney General Ferguson said the best message that I always give to folks: if you get any cold call or any notification, even an email, and you are skeptical, get out of that communication chain and go seek out your own help, whether that is about an unauthorized charge on your credit card account, whether that's an offer for tech support, whether that's an offer for the IRS helping you. They've reached out to you. I don't trust it. Go find the own legitimate information and you initiate that phone call. They should know who you are. There should be a mechanism that they know who you are. And there's a clear introduction of the caller. They will give you the name and they will give you a legitimate organization that they work with. So we'll talk a little bit about web advertisements. These really can be disguised as promotions or security alerts. These are the pop-ups that we talk about that show up on your website. Got to ask you, what should you do when you see one of these? Get out of there. So, my first tip, a lot of these, if you click anywhere in that box, and I literally mean that X box in that up right-hand corner, it can activate the ad and send you to a URL. We encourage you to shut down your browser. So one of the best tips I can say to you right now, I don't know whether you use Internet Explorer or Edge or Google Chrome, know how to shut your internet browser in its entirety. Go to the taskbar and close it. Click it on the right, however you use it. Train yourself to do that before you get your pop-up or your warning. You absolutely want to avoid the more options, and you definitely want to avoid the nice button that says close that they've provided you, because that's taken you directly to their website. So we really encourage you, go to the taskbar, your task manager. You'll forgive me, there's a lot of browsers out there, so learn this before you're in this example. And above all, you're not going to be calling a phone number that's listed on this pop-up. Yes? I was worried about that. Yeah, so this one right there says Antivirus Alert. BellGuard has just blocked an infected file on your computer. And the two little boxes there encourage you to say for more information or close. Here's another common pop-up. This is warning, check your computer now. What to do? Call 800-555-7055 immediately. First and foremost, Microsoft error and warning message do not include a phone number. Really encourage you, any pop-up you would see about check your computer, it may have malware and viruses, contact tech support right now, don't call those phone numbers. Close that out and seek out your own information. I will say I just gave a tip on the radio, and the radio interviewer said, I've never heard reboot your computer. And we're just giving you the extra precaution you can take. If you've received a pop-up, that means that a program you didn't want to be running on your computer was running on your computer. So close the browser and take the step of closing down your computer and rebooting it, just to absolutely ensure that the program is no longer running in the background. For some browsers, the challenge will be you reopen it, and it will take you right back to that website. And that's why you really want to close it out and start the actual program. So the other way that you want to make sure you're being diligent is if you actually go out and seek help. You search, I want Microsoft tech support. I want to clean my computer. You're in Google or you're in Bing. You are aware that companies pay to be relevant in these search results. They bid on search terms to be showing up in that list that you have seen there. Microsoft has taken an extraordinary step and said, we prohibit anyone paying to bid on terms related to tech support from a third party if they aren't the third party. You can't be Dell tech support. You can't be HP tech support. And we've taken an important step of making sure that the result for legitimate support is separately indicated. But we do want you to be absolutely thinking about how you know these are legitimate. Oopsie. So here's a couple tips. You see in this corner up there in Google, they actually take the time to show when there's an ad. So that nice little yellow ad comment there, this is an indication that it's a paid-for link, and that the next relevant result there, Microsoft support, is our legitimate Microsoft support and customer help. Clicking on these ads can lead to malicious software, so what you want to avoid, you want to avoid that overly complex web address. Tech support 247 / we can help you / call us now. It doesn't seem very legitimate. Microsoft's is very clear, microsoft.com /support. Read the description carefully. Is it actually what you searched for? These fraudsters typically bid on terms that are the most used terms. A lot of people on the internet go out and search for tech support help. That is a very common search term. We often see people who do pharmaceutical drug sales, bidding on support as the word, and there you're seeing up there, they've spent a lot of money to have you try to link to an advertisement that's going to send you a fraudulent message. So read the description before you click on the link, and don't read that ranking system as the absolute answer. So we are clearly describing the official Microsoft support link. The title is concise. There's no ad message right next to the result, and the description is official and clear. Now, emails are another mechanism, as you heard Attorney General Ferguson mention that his mother received, by which criminals are really fishing to get more information from you. The spam emails of 5 to 7 years ago, you won the lottery, here's an immediate weight loss drug. Those are the things that we kind of immediately say, wait, those are fraudulent. Well, the fraudsters have said, hey, I don't need to immediately tell you I'm a fraudster. Let me send an email that looks very, very legitimate, that is actually maybe from an organization you've worked with before, so that you will click and then be brought into their fraudulent mechanism. So you want to be looking at the emails in structure and form, and what I commit to is walk you through this, because I'm sorry that's a little fuzzy up there. You are looking at emails, and they really can be disguised as an official newsletter. So here you've got an email that looks like it's from Microsoft. In the upper right-hand corner, you've got an email address, but you want to take a hard, close look at that. If you look at that email address, it's support.microsoft@npl.com. You want an email from Microsoft, it's going to be from Microsoft.com. Your bank is going to be from becu.org. It is not going to have a different @ sign. That's a good indication that this is not from a trusted source. You look at the email, and there may be some strange characters. In this, you've got a nice little wingding in the middle of a word. I'll tell you, there's a lot of spell check and grammar check at Microsoft before we send out an email to all of our customers. So take a little look. Look for some of those tips that show, wait, there's something wrong in here. Threats. This email reads, we're asking all users to verify their account. We will shut down your account if you don't do this step. That's not a good business model, just so you know. That's not actually how we function. If we want to notify you about something about your account, we will be giving you a clear indication that there will be, we'd like you to verify your account. There will be no threat. That's typically how you lose customers. But that is where the fraudsters are using a threat to ensure you'll take the action they want you to take. And what they want you to do is they want you to click on this verify your account block. Now, here's another tip, but I know this is hard because it's all fuzzy, a low-resolution image within an email. That means that most likely it's not trustworthy. Lastly, do you know the hover tip? So here is a hyperlink. A hyperlink is what's going to take you to a URL. So in an email, etc., it's a different color. It may be underlined, and if you click on it, it's going to take you to a website. What you want to do is you want to hover over that, and you want to see what website's it going to take me to before I click on it. Is it going to take me to Microsoft.com, or is it going to take me to AXC3472 / tech support fraudster? Hover, take a second, see where the link is a good way. I'm going to tell you not to click on this link, but you're hovering over it to see whether you're reporting this as a phishing scam, and you're ensuring that you're deleting the email. Lastly, typos or incorrect information are really good tips. So what you should do, report it. Almost every email server in Microsoft Outlook is absolutely wants you to report that you received a phishing email. And you can simply report it from our file drop-down menu. We take that information and we use it to make sure that we are on the front end ensuring you don't receive phishing emails. Delete it. Make sure that you alert others that might be at risk. If you received something that it appears has been forwarded out of your email box, you want to notify your family and friends not to trust something that may be coming from this type of email account. Don't click on the links, and do not provide your passwords in an email. So, as we mentioned, the indications that that people use in email can also be used in chat. How many of you use a chat tool, whether it's Skype or Facebook, or how many folks use chat? So I love chat. It is how I keep in contact with my little ones. It's how I keep in touch with my parents. But fraudsters use it just like they would use any other method we've already talked about here. If you don't know who is on that other end of that conversation, you want to be very wary. How do folks initiate chat for a fraudulent purpose? Well, they check what type of information you have in your public profile. So if you have a Skype account or if you have a Facebook account, you typically want to put some information out there. Where you went to high school, some organizations that you're a member of like AARP, because that helps you find lost friends that you want to connect with. But you don't want to tell your whole life story, because telling your whole life story in a public profile is a treasure mine for those who want to use it to come back and serve as an imposter. So we encourage folks to go review your account information and privacy settings on any tool you would use. You want some information for your friends to be able to find you, but you don't want to be disclosing your birth date, your home address in a public fashion. If you receive a request, a LinkedIn request or a Skype chat request, if you're not sure you know the person, contact them in a different way and ask if they've actually sent that to you before you accept the friend request. You will receive many, many, many unsolicited friend requests from people who are just trying to use it to gain more information. So make sure you know who you are connecting with. It's the same as engaging with them on a phone conversation. Lastly, video chat is something that's making the world much smaller, and it's so meaningful. But we do want to encourage folks to be very careful in terms of knowing that you know who you're on the other video chat with. Don't have a one-way video chat conversation where they can see you, but they're not showing their screen. You don't know who the other person is on the other end. Skype cannot record your conversations, and we do not do that, but third-party programs can. And so be mindful a little bit about that. It probably wouldn't surprise you that in our digital crimes unit and in my life, I have a little Post-it note over that video screen on my computer. Take it off when I want to use it, but I have that Post-it note sitting on there to cover it up when I don't need to be using it. And it just gives me that sense of assurance, like I would close my blinds, that I don't need to be broadcasting anything else to the world. So we come through and we act like these are all different modes of information, but the principles stay the same. You really want to exercise the same caution when getting a contact from anyone that you don't know, whether it's a phone call, an email, a chat. Don't overshare information. It's a message that we all have to be mindful to and recognize that it could be in the wrong hands. Be wary of any false promises, cash offers, and threats, and review your profile that's out there to make sure this is what you want the public to know about you. So we think about our computers, we may think about our smartphones, but as folks know, the world is becoming more and more reliant on digital information. And your printer very well may be connected to Wi-Fi. It's very convenient, but it also means your printer is keeping information about you. So the best tip that I have as we think about this, you've got an old computer that you want to discard, you've got an old printer that you want to discard, take out the memory chip, take out that and destroy that before you recycle your electronic device, whatever that may be. It probably, it's just worth noting, many of these electronic recycling folks, and I literally mean from printers, can find people's old tax returns, old medical receipts, because they're saved in the memory of that printer. So it's just a little chip. You take it out, you secure your digital self by doing that before you recycle those. So it's always hard to do this because I feel like we are scaring you from using technology that makes life better, connects you to the globe, connects you to family and friends. And so what you have to remember at the end of the day is it's actually better to use your devices frequently so that you know them. The more familiar you are, the less likely you are to be victimized. I encourage you to go spend some time on your computer and know how to close out programs. You saw in the video that Doug showed you how these tech support fraudsters are using any type of information that you may not be familiar with and claiming that means they know anything about your computer when they don't. You don't have to become a tech expert, but you want to use it, and you want to be more comfortable with it. Please report the bad guys. We've left you a packet at your table. It's got lots of folks you can report any bad behavior to right at the back. Of course, I've left it at the very top. Please report any experience you have with a tech support scam to us at the Microsoft Digital Crimes Unit. I'm very, very, very pleased as to what we've been able to drive in terms of taking it to the bad guys, disrupting them, and making our platform safer. Be an ambassador. Tell your family and friends about these tips and tricks. It is the best way to know and best way that we can stop these fraudsters from making the money that makes them expand their operations. And the honest truth, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And if you wouldn't do it in person, you don't want to do it online. I have the pleasure of handling all of our cybercrime that impacts vulnerable populations, and that means I work a lot with children and educating them about how to think about their digital life as they think about their own personal life is quite a challenge. It should apply to all of us, but it is the principles that make it so that we can continue to leverage technology for good. And I'll come back to, there really is no difference. Giving remote access to your device opens up an individual that you don't know and should not trust to access any files you may have on that computer, to potentially drop a piece of technology on that computer that means they can continue to access it after you've finished the phone conversation with them. There's no difference to giving them access to your home. So help us fight these tech support frauds, hang up on these folks, report them, let us work together to change this, and thank you very much for coming out today.